Okay guys, welcome. So today I'm going to do another Q&A, and it seems to be something what everybody's asking about, and while you're all enjoying it, I'll keep doing them. Now I've had loads and loads of messages come through over the last couple of weeks, and I don't get a chance to answer every single message all the time, guys. I mean, this isn't my full-time job, this is something I do as a hobby, and obviously I'm trying to run a business, and I'm trying to work the family and everything in, and the fishing sort of stuff, all, and it's hard work sometimes, and I've had a couple telling off the last week because my fishing is becoming an addiction again, and I can feel it sometimes, you know what I mean, and it's something I do really just love to do, and unfortunately when you've got other things in your lifetime, it can't be the main thing you can think about all the time, and it's trying to balance it, but I do find it hard to balance because it's like now I'm looking at tides and stuff, and the tides are so late at night and stuff like that. It's like, what do you do? And I can't be up to 3 o'clock in the morning and get up again at 7 o'clock to go work. You know what I mean? It's a bit old for that now. The days of doing that are well and truly gone. But you got to try and manage it, haven't you? And I think that's the main thing for it. Now, loads of messages come through Back to the Future. Something that I wanted to do it a little bit more differently, in a like fancy dress sort of style with it, and have some real fun with it. And unfortunately, just don't have a chance to do it with work and everything going on in the week. And me and Connor, I said the idea of what we'd done, so we had a little bit of muck around in the car at the beginning, which I think made a few chuckles and stuff. And then we went out and we'd done a trip. I mean, Connor's gone back since he went last night and lost a fish, unfortunately, but unfortunately there's two parts of the venue, one where you've got to lift it over broken ground like rough reefs and stuff like that if you get fish on, and the other part you fish like into the bay, less snaggy, and unfortunately he lost a fish again on over the ledges. I say again, it's the first time he obviously fished that ledge part, and it's like I said to him today, don't take disheartened about it. You're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some, and you're always gonna do that. And especially when you're first starting off, it's all to do with obviously how you're fishing and stuff. And I've got a few questions come in regarding about this topic to do with lifting the fish, which I'll go through a bit later on. And yeah, it was nice to go back and get obviously to take Connor with me back to a venue I haven't fished for 15, nearly 20 years. And the area, it brought back so many memories when I sat there with these HSTs and the Pen 525s and that headlight. I mean, as the sun was coming down, I actually felt like 20 years ago. And it's amazing, really, to see where my fishing's come from and where it is now. And I've had a couple of conversations about it recently, because I think sometimes people see me, I have one of the questions I'll answer a bit later on, but so I think sometimes people see me and they get the wrong gist of it, just because I cover my fishing and stuff like that. I think people like, I don't know if it's their opinions or they seem to make their own mind up about someone without even knowing them, you know what I mean? And I think sometimes people think, oh, look at that big head doing all the things and doing really well with videos and like all that sort of stuff and catching fish and stuff. And I think they take it like in a negative way, where it shouldn't be a negative way. I mean, I find there's a lot of jealous people in the fishing industry, and myself, I'm not really like that, and I think it shows. A lot of the viewers I get for the channel, we get a lot of love and support. I've had so many messages come through about the Back to the Future one and what's going on the last, you know what I mean, and genuine people which like the content and stuff, and that's why I've done this fishing show, if I'm honest. And it's a shame. It is a shame, because I think you get tarnished without obviously people knowing you, you know what I mean? And crazy in a way, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's part of life, I suppose. But yeah, things have gone less just easy the last couple of weeks. I think peace and quiet, which I like, and I've just been able to focus on my own fishing and doing what's what, you know what I mean? And yeah, I think with what we've done on the rocks the other day, I think the production come out really well. I mean, nothing of size, but a few fish out for the camera, and made it have decent production. I'm looking forward to doing Back to the Future too. So I'm going to answer some of the questions, because this one's going to be more of a Ray one, guys, because I've only picked 10 questions, but I picked 10 questions out of probably 40, which are to do with ray fishing. Okay, because it's something I get asked a lot about. Some of them will make you laugh because some of them made me laugh, and it's some of the stuff's like what I've just talked about really. So I'm answering the questions from what I just talked about, and here we go. So, question 1: what did Big Ray's fight like, Andy? And that's from Tim. So Tim, Big Ray's. So when you start going above the £10 mark, you can feel the difference in fish. Okay, you can start to see them pulling. When you get above that, like higher teens, like to be honest, my biggest one's 27.2, and it's a different ball game altogether. It is. I had this question come through the other day, and I went to see a friend of mine yesterday for a cup of tea, and he's caught a few fish over the £25 mark, and numerous of 20s over the years, and just an absolute blonde ray machine, Rob York. And when I was sitting there talking to him, I asked him about his sort of like knowledge within it as well, and because he's had some really good fish, but he's lost two enormous fish, what he couldn't do nothing with. And when he had his £29 blonde, he was telling me a story about, he was speaking to a guy on the Marine Biologist, and they were basically saying about, I can't believe you can catch a fish that side from the shore. I mean, we get them off the boats and stuff, and that comes into another question I've had off for someone else as well. And he said, it's unreal. I mean, you get a fish like that in the tide. And the difference was, like I said to Rob as well, where he had is the difference with height. So he's like there on the rocks, and the fish is there on the rocks, okay? And to try and get that much power and leverage over a fish which is there is more tricky than being up high, because when you're up high you get more leverage and more lift of the fish. And with when you're fishing for rays and stuff like that, especially if you've got broken ground in front of him and stuff, you've got to be able to lift the fish. And what I can describe out of that catch, or my catch, I couldn't lift that fish at all. It wasn't lifting. And I stayed put, bent over, taking line, right into it. My rod just buckled over, fish still taking line. Obviously you got to try and turn the fish then, so I had to like basically tighten my drag up and then just basically hold and watch the rod going like that. And then suddenly it started to turn after pressure. As soon as I started to turn it and I started to pump it, I started reeling. And the main focus point for me then is, as long as I can get that fish turn, that's half the battle. I mean, if you've got a fish what's not turning and it's just going and going, you're going to struggle to catch that fish. But you've got to turn it. So you've got to turn it to be able to lift it. And once I had it turn, I started applying pressure, and I could feel. Normally, when you reel down, it's never a question I've got asked, so I won't go into it that much. But you can feel the weight of the fish, and then I had that feeling the way through the fight. All the way through, just trying to battle it to lift it up. But because I was at a height as well, it was to my advantage of lifting the fish. And it didn't lift, it didn't come up to the surface all the way in. It stayed deep all the way in. And I remember looking down over the rocks and seeing the wings and that coming up over. And I said to my mate, that's a good fish. And you can tell the difference. You can tell the difference. It's a fight. It's a fight at the end of the day, and they are very, very. They just hug bottom. They stay deep. They use the power of the tide. They use the power of the wings and the power of what they've got in them, and they just hug bottom. That's what they try to do. Just hug bottom, and then obviously trying to lift up and lift up. But to be honest, I haven't had that many big ones. If I'm honest, you know what I mean. My biggest before that was 18. And the rest of the fish I've had before that were like £14. So it's one of them really, but it's a fish I love to catch. It's my favourite species of ray to catch. I mean, small-eyed ray fishing back in the day, my biggest obviously 13, but I've had 4 fish over the £12 mark, which is very good really. Just from the amount of times over the 10 years of just targeting small, didn't do nothing else. Loads of 11s and 10s and stuff like that over the years, and I used to love my small-eyed ray fishing, and like I said with the Back to Future feature, I was going back to my roots, and sort of, I gotta say 10 years ago maybe, I sort of I sort of started fishing a different area, and I didn't know much about the area at the time. All I knew was what it held, and I used to put as much time as into it, and I didn't get that many results really. I had a few like spotted and small lides and smaller blondes, but never nothing of like size. And then you sort of like hear the stories and stuff like that, and it just makes you want more and more and more. And then in the end, the trouble is I never had anybody to teach me, you know what I mean? It was like teaching myself. I mean, some of the anglers you look around in the southwest, what have been so fortunate and like spoon fed with it really, to be able to have the information, know what to do, where to go and stuff like that. And I feel like if I had that knowledge like earlier on, I could have like put more time into it. But unfortunately, I'm nearly 50 now, and it's hard work. It is hard work. I mean, fair play to the boys who've been doing it for years, and they're older than me, and they're still doing it because it is hard work. I mean, I can feel it. I'm a bit bigger than I used to be now, 17.5 stone. I used to be about 14. I used to be up and down the cliffs, left, right, and centre. Now I'm on the way up. I just take my time with it, really. You know what I mean? And the next day I can feel it, and don't we all? But yeah, Tim, that's the answer to that question, mate. I tried not to go into much detail because I've got more questions what come in and what relate to some of the stuff I just talked about. So this one's from Simon. Do you catch all species of ray? Do catching all species of ray feel the same, just bigger? No. So, blonde rays, obviously the biggest rays, but if you had a £10 blonde, a £10 spotted, a £10 fawnback, and a £10 small-eyed, and you had to say who would be the hardest fight, the spotteds give a very good account of themselves. I mean, if you had a £5 blonde, a £5 spotted, a £5 small-eyed, a £5 fawnback, most likely I would say the spotted is going to give the best account for itself. It's quite an aggressive ray. So is the fawnback. Okay, so the fawnback ray is another very aggressive ray, and you know what I mean, they do. I find the small eyes not like that, not as bad. I mean, there's a difference. And then with the blondes as well, when they're obviously a lot bigger and stuff, you can 9 times out of 10, and that's due to its size. But I think the fawnback and the spotted are quite aggressive rays. That's in my opinion. You know what I mean? A lot of people might say, "What you want about, Andy? They're all rays." I just feel like you would get a good fawnback on. You know you got a fawnback on. If you get a small-eyed on, 9 times out of 10, I don't know. It's I love small-eyed ray fishing, but I wouldn't say they're an aggressive fish. But I don't know. It's one of them really. I mean, most of the big small-eyeds I've had have been in rougher conditions, and obviously with the swell of the sea and stuff like that as well. You know what I mean? Once you get them up, they're coming up. It's one of them really. But no, they do feel different, and obviously the bigger fish will hug bottom more and stuff like that. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. Sean, in the video you talked about pumping a fish, Andy. What do you mean? So, like I was obviously talking about before with Connor. So, when you're first starting off ray fishing, and you're fishing off rocks and stuff like that, a lot of the time, if you're off a beach, it don't matter so much, you can play it all the way through to the shoreline, you know what I mean? And then just like it comes up onto the shoreline, where a bit like a big blonde would do off the rocks, because it would just stay deep all the way. But sometimes, if you're fishing marks, and a lot of the marks I fish, I used to fish a lot, are over broken ground, especially for small-eyed rays. And when you're fishing that kind of venue, right, so I've got my rod here now, so I'm going to hold it up to just the side of the camera. I don't know if you can pick that up. Okay, yeah, now, yeah. So what I would do is I'd reel down into the fish, feel the weight of the fish, right, as it goes to take off, or it's still running like that, start locking into it, and lift, pull back, right? And then what I would do naturally is wind all the way down there to like that to the tension, and pull back again, okay? If you've got a fish what's pulling back on you straight away, 9 times out of 10, when you first get into the fish, you'll get that straight away before it starts running and swimming in towards you or whatever. At that stage then, I know I can wind down and crank as hard as I can by reeling back and lifting with that rod. And because the fish is going away from you and you're pulling against it, the only thing that fish can do is naturally lift. And within 2 or 3 turns and 2 or 3 pumps, that fish, 9 times out of 10, I'll have it hitting the surface. Exactly the same as I've done. I said to Connor when I had the small 14 pounder the other day. Wind down again and lift up, right? And it's on the surface. Once it gets on the surface, you can stay in control of it. You know what I mean? And you can manoeuvre it at the end of the day. If you get better fish, what they tend to do is dive back down. So you've got to reel and reel and reel. But when you sort of like get a judge of the distance for the broken ground in front of you. So when you know you come into the broken down, what normally I do is slow down into it. But you'll see when I'm watching in videos, see if I can do a little bit of overlap on this video, as you can see. And basically, as I'm pulling back up with the rod like that, you can see me get to a stage where I'm reeling in line to keep up the fish. And when I feel that tension again, even if that rod's there like that, I'll position my back more and the angle and get as much leverage back as I can. And if you notice, I don't drop it all the way back down to there. There's no need, right? Because I want short lifts. The main thing of it is lifts. So even if I reel like from that point all the way back to that point, and then I'll get my hand again and I'll lift, okay? And even if you're doing short lifts and pulling back, if you watch when I'm fishing, you'll never see me drop a rod all the way down and go wee up, and then drop it back down and then go wee up. No need. I'll get more leverage and more pull with that rod being up there, and literally that little bit there, reel back, lift, reel back, lift, because I'm lifting, rather than all the way down like that. By the time I've dropped all that line, let's give the fish like 12 foot plus 24 foot. Because you're not giving him just the length of the rod, you're giving him the length of the line to the sea as well. So you're giving that drop of the rod plus the line going down to the sea. So it's important when you're first starting out is to learn how to lift and how to control the fish. Now, when you get fish on the surface, like the other day we had a bit of broken round, I'm fishing over the main part of the rough where I was. And I knew I had to get the fish to the surface. So I got the fish to the surface and literally manoeuvred it. I literally used the rod to go left, used the rod to go right, manoeuvre it around, keep the ray in. As soon as I got over the broken ground, I can play it, you know what I mean? It's there. And then even if I need to lift it, so whoever needs to land it, the fish is on the surface. When you get swelly conditions, it's a lot harder to do, okay? Because you've got to take into consideration the swells and stuff like that. But when you have got no swells and stuff like that, it's a good way to just lift and pump. And the main thing for me is to make and keep tension in that line all the way. I mean, if you're reeling, you're not into tension of the fish because the fish is swimming towards you, whatever else. You need to gain control. It's all about gaining control. It's not just that. If the hook's not connected, not hooked in right, I mean, 9 times out of 10, I'll strike it straight away to make sure that hook goes in. If that hook's not in, if it's not connected, like tension on the line, there's a possibility if the hook's not hooked up, it could drop out of the fish. So you need to make sure that tension's kept as much as you can. But that's what I mean by lifting a fish, guys. I mean, it's not the easiest thing to do, as I said to Connor. And I said to Connor, because he lost one last night, and I said to him, don't take it disheartened. At the end of the day, we win some, we lose some, but it's all, and he's going to know that feeling. Because we all know that feeling of losing big fish, and it's something which stays with you. It doesn't leave. I wake up with dreams and nightmares still of fish I've lost in the past. And what it does, it makes you learn. And that's a good thing. I've learned loads by losing fish. I up my trace line now. I don't use 80 pound, I use 100 pound. And the reason being is the abrasion on the fish's mouth. I remember going with a mate of mine years ago, and he got a big small line, I would say 10, 11 pound, onto the surface. I was just about to land it for him, and it went ping. I went, what the hell? I looked, I goes, what trace you like? And he said, 30 pound. I said, why are you using 30 pound? He went, hang on a minute, that'll land a 30 pound fish, that's 30 pound. I said, no, the abrasion. After that, he went straight on to 80. I know guys would use 60 pounds. I know guys like to use the amnesia, you know what I mean, and they've had really good fish on the amnesia stuff and that. Each angler will have their own sort of trace line, their own way of doing things, what suit them and what they like. Me personally, when I'm targeting big fish, I like to have my trace line well away from my rig. And I love the running ledger, the running up and over for it, if I'm honest. If I can fish that in like half decent conditions, I will. If it's rough, it's probably a no-go. But yeah, it's one of them at the end of the day, guys. But hopefully that there has helped you with lifting fish. So what we got next? So we got Tony. Would you say this one made me laugh. This is what I get sometimes. I don't mean to take a mick up, Tony, with a question, but there's people's opinions, what their own opinions, and I'm hoping I don't ever come across like that because I'm never meant to be. But he said, would you say you're the best ray angler in the UK? I would say so, Andy. If you don't agree, who would you say is the best? Definitely not me. Okay, definitely not me. At the end of the day, guys, all I do is cover my angling. That's all I do. I mean, I've put a lot of time into ray angling. It's my favourite thing in the world, but in the world to do out of all species and that. I do like black bream and stuff, but ray fishing is my passion, and I don't do club fishing and that now. And to be honest, that's the reason. One of the reasons I'm not necessarily I don't do it thing, but I've realised recently that I can do what I want with my fishing. If I want to go fishing, I want to go and catch something, I can. I haven't got to be tied to go and target such and such, or have to get a percentage in, or get like I can just go and do what I want with my fishing. And if I want to go and blank every session trying to go for a £20 blonde, who cares? As long as I'm happy, that's what I'm happy. You know what I mean? Whatever makes you happy with fishing, you do at the end of the day. But when I'm doing the videos and stuff like that, I know people see me catching good fish and stuff, but there is lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of good specimen anglers in the country, okay? There is. And I don't think I'm better than no one. All I do is cover my own fishing. And so I was having a talk about it the other day, because I feel like what made me better at my fishing when I was younger was looking up and having idols in fishing. We've talked about this over the last few weeks, and I don't feel that people have got that now. Just because the way the internet turns and the way modern day nextology, because people don't have to be fantastic at fishing to become the celebrity in fishing these days. All they need to do is have a YouTube channel and just like get out there and catch a couple of fish and get the numbers. It's a numbers game at the end of the day, isn't it? Where years ago you had to produce the goods, and it's something that I still live by at the end of the day. If you want to be doing something or other, you've got to be producing the goods. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I won't catch fish every session like other people, but I'll fish throughout the year, and I'll fish and catch quality fish throughout the year. And that's what my fishing's about. It's not for everyone, but that's what my fishing's about. I could go and do what I used to do 10 years ago and go around catching £10 rays and loads of like smaller £7, £8 rays and stuff like that. I could do that. I could do that every trip. We could go and fish. I'm not going to say we catch every trip, but the venues I would go always produce fish. But it's a totally different ball game between going to those sort of venues and going to big fish specimen venues, because a lot of the big fish specimen venues is an hours game, okay? It's not that I'm better than anybody else by doing that, it's just that's what I like to do, and I would rather blank personally. But I'm going to answer the question for you, and I'm going to tell a story with it as well. So when I spent a lot of years doing the Tits Out magazine stuff and that, Total Sea Fishing and stuff like that, doing the YouTubes and stuff, and I really always had people I looked up to. When I first read in magazines and started fishing and that, Steve Gregory, Wayne McEwen, Nigel Davis, Wayne Saunders, 4 guys from Wales, what used to smash the scene through the magazines and that. And I always have the thing about big fish and rays especially, and those guys used to do the business. I mean, do the business. For any other lot boys on the Welsh coastline, you knew exactly who those lads are. I mean, big casters and just fish machines. You know what I mean? And they were in the magazine every single month. There's really, really talented individuals. Okay, with really, really good fish records and stuff. You know what I mean? I remember, like, I think Wayne had a £20 blonde off the spit. The amount of like blondes and that they had throughout Stout with Wayne and Steve and that, and then obviously I remember a Smooth Hound feature which Wayne Saunders and Nigel Davis done at Aberfoyle and that, like bigger Smooth Hounds and stuff. And you're reading that as a young kid, and looking up to these individuals in the magazine, and it made you want to do that, you know what I mean? And that's probably doing that is what has made me the angler I am today, because I had role models like reading in the magazines and stuff like that, to which I wanted to produce the fish, and unfortunately I never had no one to teach me. So to do all that, when I went over to Wales, and I never had like fantastic fish in Wales. All my stuff has come locally and like down to homework and stuff like that. And not just that, I'm not going to say I didn't have any help. I mean, I've met anglers what I've fished with over the years, and I feel that when you fish with decent anglers, you pick stuff up. Not intentionally, but you always do. And me personally, I pick a bit up from each individual, the good parts of each individual, you know what I mean? I've fished with some really good top anglers over the years, and even if it's for a session or it's 10 sessions or like for a regular like 2 or 3 years or whatever, I've fished with a lot of different individuals and stuff, you know what I mean? And I think you learn off each other. I mean, I know there's the guys what I've fished with over the years that have took loads away from what I've done. You know what I mean? And I think that's all part and parcel for fishing. I think you're forever learning. You know what I mean? But yeah, looking at those sort of guys like that, and then when like Nick with like the articles and stuff like that, who become my best friend in the air. You going back like 20 years ago now. I've known Nick 20 years. And you look back from when I first met Nick, and you know what I mean, well, we never had a friends like we do now. We speak on the phone regularly, you know, we ring up to see how each other's art is, and you know, our days, and we've become really good friends over the years. And I think it's probably a lot to do with not just the angling, because everything's to do with angling with it. You know what I mean, fair enough, we've gone on holidays and trips away and stuff like that, but it's not like we've known each other before that. It's all based around angling and stuff. You know what I mean? And I've met some really good friends and people through angling, but. Going back when I started doing all this like small lighting and started getting out there and doing all that sort of stuff and that, it was about fair enough. I started doing the magazine sort of stuff and the bits and pieces like that. Started catching a few half decent fish and stuff like people do, and then you always want more, don't you? And there was certain names what I would hear in the scene, like the Plymouth scene and the club fishing scene and stuff like that. And everybody would admire them because they were all into club fishing, but I wasn't into club fishing. Club fishing wasn't my scene. And then I was doing the magazine articles, and I got speaking to a few local lads from Plymouth who I was putting a post up about doing a feature. And to be honest, a couple of nice lads. I think it was like 4 or 5 of them. I'm not a fan of all 4 or 5, but there was 2 of them, they were really really good lads. You know what I mean? And Luke Johns is one of them, who I class as a friend of mine. I mean, me and Luke's known each other for many years now. And I'll ring up to see how he's getting on. He'd ring me, you know what I mean? And we don't see each other all the time, but he's a very good individual. He's a lovely lad, and he's someone which I would go out my way to help, or out my way to say hello to, or ring on the phone. You know what I mean? I've got a good friendship with him. Another guy who I wouldn't say we're best of friends, but I speak to, I mean, he's a fantastic angler. Done a few trips together and stuff like that, and really good angler. I mean, he's Rob Batten, and we've done some trips over in Wales and like local stuff and that back then and stuff like that. And then when I was down with obviously Luke and stuff, I started working with Luke, and I was on site at the time, and then a lot of like on the brickies and stuff on site, some of which were guys what Luke knew through fishing. And I met a guy called, I can't remember his name, Sam something or other. I'm sure he goes over to Australia a lot. And the other one was Ryan Dumbrick. And we used to go on site and talk and stuff like that. And we went out for a few trips and that. And we went down to down to a couple of the Raymocks. And I remember a pollock night. We had a good session on the pollock one night down there. You know what I mean? And I remember like sitting in the club back and all these people like talking and meeting other like people from around this way and all around and stuff like that. And they'd be saying names, you know what I mean? And like obviously fishing with Eddie and Will and that at the time. I remember with Will when we were spitting, and he would always mention like Rob York, Rob Wheaton, like, and it's not he would be speaking about them because the fish they're catching. Have you seen what they caught again? Have you seen what they caught again? I remember going to the flounder. I was going floundering one day, and as I was sat there floundering, these boys were walking past, and he said, "Have you seen that Plymouth boy, that Rob York, who he caught such and such, and such?" And I think he had a specimen spotted, specimen small-eyed, and specimen blonde, all in the same evening on the Saturday evening, and they'd done the weigh-in or whatever, and these boys had just come back from it or something or other. And he's like, "How the hell did they get all that?" You know what I mean? Crazy. What anglers? You know what I mean? Like, and it's true. And you sort of like see that. And me personally, I like that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Because I like to see people doing better, because it improves yourself. And then when I was looking at doing the club fishing, I didn't really want to do the club fishing, because back when I first started doing the club fishing, everything was about soaking fish and stuff, and I've never been into soaking fish. I'd never do it. I'm not interested in doing it. You know, I'm still not to this day. Never done it. And it was just the way it went from the 70s, 80s and 90s. You know what I mean? That's the way it went and stuff like that. Anyway, it started to fade out a little bit, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to join a club. So we looked straight away, and a mate of mine, we went to look at one club, and they wouldn't let him in. For some reason, I don't know exactly why not. So I was like, well, I'm not joining that if you're not allowed in anyways, you know what I mean? I've got more morals than that, you know what I mean, to be mate. And I said, I'll tell you what, let's have a look for another one. And then me personally, when I said it, I said, what about rod benders? And then they were like, we're not going to win nothing in that. And I thought, so? Does it matter? You know what I mean? at the end of the day, I'd rather fish against quality anglers than anglers that it's going to be easy, because it makes me want to do better. You know what I mean? And that's the way it is. And you at the end of the day, I see people catching fish, and I get excitement about it. You know what I mean? Especially because I'm happy for them. I'm over the moon for them. I'm not like that at the end of the day. And then you're seeing these individuals like Rob Wheaton and Rob York and that going and like landing monster blonde rays, and me being a ray fanatic and that, I'd be like, and I remember one session when I met Rob. I met him in the tackle shop in Seaview Angling, and we were sitting having a chat and stuff like that. He didn't know me from Adam, obviously, and I didn't know him really. I obviously heard his name and that, and we were just talking and stuff. And yeah, he'd never at the time he'd never tell me a thing. Never ever tell me a thing. And I remember we get to this mark one day, and I've been fishing like around the areas for a little while, and we've been fishing this specific mark for a little while, and they come down. And this Mark's got a ladder going down the step. He still says it to me today. And we always wonder what the ladder was for. And next minute, you see these boys coming over the top of it, abseiling, don't you? And I remember looking up, and Rob said to me the other day, he said, you loves it now, didn't you? And I said, it's your fault. And he said, yeah. He said, I remember looking down at you when we come down over the thing, and you were like in a maze. And I was. That's what I like to do, you know what I mean? And I'm not ashamed by it. No way. I think it's a good thing to have look up to people in angling and stuff like that, because it makes you want to do better. And the fish those boys have had out over the years, I call it the elite, if I'm honest, because you get fishing levels, don't you? You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, some people are going to be good at football, and some people are going to play in the Premier League. Some people are going to be Championship. Some people are going to be Division 1, Division 2, local county, like pub teams and stuff like that. It is what it is. It's the same as life. That's life at the end of the day. I mean, I played golf the other year, and I was no good at the golf at all. And I mean, absolutely terrible. You know what I mean? And fishing is something I wouldn't say I'm fantastic at, but I can hold my own, and I'm very good at what I do. And as I've seen with, you look at rod benders, I had a lucky first year, and then the second year, I thought, I've got to do something. Because it was so lucky, you know what I mean? I went up to Chesil and caught a turbot. Those of you that are watching now, they'll be laughing. I think it's low, because a lot of people at the time must have thought, you know what I mean, cocky getting her. You know what I mean? So you go up to Chesil, who thinks they're going to go and catch an £11.6 turbot from the shore? No one, you know what I mean? Webby goes and does it. Not saying it was, I landed it, and I caught the fish, and it's part of, unfortunately, it's a big part of fishing, isn't it? But when I remember when I got that trophy, and I looked down through the names, and I looked down through, and I thought to myself, Rob Wheaton, Rob Wheaton, Rob Wheaton, Rob York, Rob York, Rob York, Martin Larkins, Mark Bryce, and Scott Clark, and you're just reading the same names over and over and over again. And then you suddenly got Webby. You know what I mean? I thought, I'm never gonna win this again. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's one of them at the end of the day. And I'll openly admit it, guys, at the end of the day. I know a lot of people see me doing the videos and stuff like that, but there's a lot better anglers out there than myself, and especially when it comes to specimen hunting. I mean, I cover my own type of fishing, guys. I don't think I'm better than anybody, and that's all I do. And that's all you can do. And I think you need people what are catching good fish, and people, sometimes they see me catching fish, and a lot of people get jealous by it. I mean, I've had people refuse me to go into clubs and that before, and it amazes me. And when I spoke to people afterwards, they're like, you know why? And I know why. I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, there's a lot of jealousy what goes around in fishing, unfortunately, and I feel that sometimes people just don't like it, do they? At the end of the day. But it is what it is. I mean, I remember speaking to Rob the other day, and they told me stories like about what it used to be like years ago, and because they had, I think it was a Shore League team, and it was like, I think it was Stuart Gray, Rob York, Rob Wheaton, and there was someone else, and they were invincible at the time, absolutely invincible. What a Shore League team, you know what I mean? To have, you know what I mean? Some of those lads. And the Plymouth lot, some of the older lot, they're fantastic anglers, like really good anglers. And I'm not saying all of them, but there is some really, like Rob Wheaton, for example, Rob York, you know what I mean? You've got Scott Clark, Mark Bryce, Steve Arnold, Stuart Gray. Who else can I think of? There's just some really top end, really good anglers down there. And they've been doing it years and years and years, you know what I mean? And you look at, especially, and you can see it, when you're doing like the shore leagues and they're producing a fish every single shore league. I mean, I'm not that type of angler. I'm not the type of angler that's going to go out every single weekend and smash in best specimen fish. But that's not what I would go for. For me personally, it was like the second year when I was in there. I thought I've got to do something now. You know what I mean? Because I've joined this club. I've literally smashed 11-pound 6 turbot from the shore, killed everybody's club year because no one's beating it. I mean, that Mark Heyman, he had a lovely pollock that year, which any other year would have done it. I mean, there was some fantastic fish caught that year, absolutely stonking fish caught that year. And there was some big gilters, there's loads of fish. Unfortunately, because of the turbot, I mean, and there's individuals what deserved to win the fish of the year as well. I mean, it's crazy, really. That year was a really good year for fishing, to be fair. But it killed everybody's clubs year. And then the following year, I was like, I've got to do this now. For me, personally, I mean, because I just had to do it. And I thought, what do I go for? And me being me, I wanted a blonde ray. And obviously, there's a lot of guys around at the time what knew what to do and where to go, and I was fishing certain tides in one specific area constantly, and I'd raise, you know what I mean, I'd raise up to like small eyes up to like £10. I think blondes up to like that year. I think I had, what did I have before that? Small eyes, and I think no, we didn't have no blondes that year. It was just that was single fish, and it took me I put so much dedication into it. And time, I mean, proper lived it, and I learned a lot by it, if I'm honest, a lot about myself as well, because when you're going up and down doing that type of fishing, which not just me does, what all these guys do, because I'm telling you nothing now, a lot of people see it, and they don't see the blanks what go in. I do it for videos now, you know what I mean, that's what I do, include it in my videos. They're doing exactly the same thing. They're not showing you all the trips they're putting in. Then they're going Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. Might not get nothing that week. You come around Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they suddenly get into this monster fish. You know what I mean? It's the hours that goes into it, and hours equals rewards. You know what I mean? And yeah, absolutely unreal. Absolutely unreal. And yeah, going back to the question, which we've got right off topic on, I think. No, we haven't. Is the question of what I was saying, I'm going to answer. There's so many good anglers out there, and I mean really top end anglers. You know what I mean? And there's probably loads up around the country. I mean, like Paul Med is one I know of, like because I'm for the European Open and doing stuff for him. Fantastic angler up there. George Smith, another one for that size. Like, there's probably loads what I don't know, and there's probably loads of you watching this video now saying, Andy, you never mentioned such and such. I don't know. You know what I mean? I live around here, the southwest, and I know. You know what I mean? Like Kev Legg up in North Devon. I mean, I used to follow all Kev's stuff, going back when he was doing all the magazine stuff and that. You know what I mean? And the fish he was producing and stuff like that. And it's exactly the same thing. Is you need these type of figures in your angling. I think you ain't got it anymore. The magazines are gone really for that type of thing. It's just like, you know, exactly gone to the internet sort of way as well, isn't it? And yeah, so I just wanted to put that point across more than anything, that definitely not me. And I don't ever think now, I'm not a big-headed git, what things seem to think and people see catching fish. I just I just do what I do, guys, you know what I mean? I'm not going to catch fish all the time. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm the same as most of you out there. You go and put the time in, you reap the rewards and stuff. And my fishing is sadly gone to a place now where it's all about size and specimen weights. Even though I'm not in a club, crazy really, and I'll still that, and I'll never join a club again, never ever. I mean, if I have to be honest, the amount of stuff what goes on in club fishing, what I know about, and especially like the regional, like our regional areas and stuff like that, you know what I mean? What people are doing to catch fish and stuff like that is absolutely disgusting. And it's something which will never change. And I've done a big thing about cheating, didn't I, a little while ago. And all I'm going to say is when I've done that thing about cheating, I had so many messages come through about certain individuals around the southwest and stuff, and some of the stuff they were doing and getting up to, and it put me in a position where I didn't want to get involved in it. And the reason I didn't want to get involved in it is because no matter what was said and done, and the people who approached me and told me these certain things as well, nothing would ever done. And the only people who would have looked bad in the situation was the people who brought it forward to whatever anglers were doing with catching fish and that. And that's why I started the Specimen Award scheme this year, because it's not something I want to be in part of. And well, I know I've lost a lot of respect for certain individuals now because of stuff what they've done with fishing and basically cheating. And I just find that, yeah, I'm not going to say there's people being caught cheating and stuff like that, and abuse and that they've got. And there's been people around the country, around the southwest, what have done similar things and other stuff. What's worse, and they've never had a punishment for it. You know what I mean? And they just got to get away with it, time and time and time again. And the trouble is, the authorities and the local divisions and stuff like that, they don't know. They've got no proof at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, nothing will ever happen about it. It's just like, what are you going to do? Just carry on allowing them to do it. And if you're carrying and allowing people to do that, then it's unfair. And those individuals know who they are, and they know what they're doing. And they might look and think they're big and clever and all stuff like that, but they're not. Because anybody what knows what they're doing, and a lot of people do know what they're doing, look at them as a joke. And personally, I physically look at them as a joke now, a complete and utter joke. And that is the reason why, because if you're a decent angler, you shouldn't have to go out there and cheat. You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't need to. And yeah, I personally wouldn't ever get involved in club fishing for that reason again. But the answer to your question, who is the best ray angler? So, as you can see, I've gone through the reasons why it's not me. And I told you the thing, because I don't want to be in that equation whatsoever. Got a mate of mine, Lee Treeby, you've got to just answer this quickly. You alright, Lee?
Yeah, you alright, mate?
Yeah, you alright, mate?
Are you in Plymouth working?
I'm not at the minute, no, I'm at home at the minute.
Oh, you're home, yeah?
Yeah.
So it'd be better off you meet me at Newton Abbot then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'll just meet you in you just give us...
I'm meeting matey, I've done the deal with the rods, so I'm meeting matey, so ideally, mate, what sort of time do you want to meet?
I'll meet whenever you're ready, mate. You tell me when you're ready, and where are you meeting him to?
Alright, well, I'll go and have a shower. Well, I'm just waiting for him to send me his address through now.
Right, so if you...
I know on his location it says Newton Abbot.
Alright, if it's on Newton Abbot, do you know where the Tesco's is at Newton Abbot, or was it the racecourse?
Mate, I'll just, you know me, I'll tap it in my sat nav.
Yeah, if you tap it in your sat navs, I'll meet you there first.
What are the Ziplex profiles like, mate?
I've never used them.
Never used them?
Never used the profiles, mate. They're nearer and nearer
in
right.
real good condition. Well, it looks as new. At 200 quid.
That's cheap. That's a hell of a cheap for a profile.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Tell you what, if you can pick that up for 200 quid, you'd be able to pick another one up. But you want to make sure that it suits your fishing.
Saying, would you accept 150? But,
goes to 200 quid and he's got it 150. Right, how long do you reckon you're going to be? Because I'm filming at the minute, so I've answered this call, so you'll be able to watch this on video. I'm doing a filming thing in the studio at the minute, and I've just answered your call, so I'm on camera, so you'll watch this conversation back in about a week.
So yeah, because mate, I'm keen to get out with you on Friday night. I'm really looking forward to it. So
right, so
I've got rid of a lot of my big stuff.
You've got rods, have you?
Yeah. Well, I will have Friday.
All right.
I just want to get one more.
If you give me how long do you reckon? An hour? You're going to be an hour and a half, aren't you?
Oh, mate, it's going to take me. I'm going to have to be. I'm not leaving Plymouth till at least 5 o'clock.
All right, that's fine. You just give us a tinkle before you leave, then, Matt.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
No worries. Ideal. Go, mate.
Cheers, buddy. Bye, mate. Sorry, guys. So, basically, sorted another pair of bass rods out for a mate of mine. But he said to me afterwards, "I'm not sure," and I was like, "I'll have them then." So it looks like I've got 2 pairs now. And he's basically my mate's selling a pair of Century inshore bass rods, and I've just bought a pair last night. But the ones I've got, they're a little bit lighter than the Enshores. The Enshores are proper bass rods. And I said to I spoke to my mate this morning, and he said, "I'm selling my Enshores because he wants a set of spob rods for gilting." So we managed to find these spob rods for gilting. So he's selling the Enshore bass rods, but they haven't got Ziplex. They haven't got Century bags with them, and he's like, "Oh, I don't really want them if they've got Symmetry bags." And just messaged me a minute ago, and I said, "Right, I'll just have them then." So I'm just gonna have them. It's what it is. I've got another pair of rods out then. But no, guys, if I've got to answer that question to what was asked, my personal opinion, best ray angler in the country, and I'm going to go off for quality at the end of the day, because I feel it doesn't matter how many you can raise you catch in what I go for. It's about the size and quality, and the quality always goes over numbers. So I'm going to go for Rob York. That would be my obviously number one ray angler in the country. I mean, Wyvern record holder, £29, and the numerous 20s he's had over the years, and like rays he's had out, and the guys he's took under his wing over the years, and the fish that they've had as well and stuff. You know what I mean? Definitely Rob. And the way I would look at it as well, he's not big-headed. He's just a normal guy, a bit like myself. When it comes to fishing, you know what I mean. He loves to see other people catching, willing to help anybody. And yeah, if anybody deserves the crown for ray angling, it's definitely Rob. So I'm glad that question's answered, and I hope I've answered a few. I've gone into detail about it, guys, and the reason I try to like clear myself a little bit, because I think sometimes people look at me, and like I said, just take a disliking to me because of the fact that I catch fish and I'm doing videos. And I think a lot of people in my like angling circle, like good anglers from around the country and stuff, I think they get tarnished with the same thing. And it's unfair, really, because without knowing someone and stuff, you shouldn't tarnish them with the fact of, oh, he's a knob because he does this or he does that. You know what I mean? Because 9 times out of 10, these individuals not. And I had a conversation with a guy the other day because he put something on the internet about me. So I contacted him, and he contacted him back, and he said, ring me. So I rung him, and we had a conversation. It led to a bit of arguing on the phone at first, but do you know what? After being on the phone for 10 minutes to him, we ended up putting it all to bed. Because he didn't really know what it was about, except for he was going on about some rumour. And I was like, mate, what the hell are you on about? I've never even heard that. And then, and the same old fairy tale. But it was good afterwards. We've got each other on Facebook now. And I think sometimes what I found over the last few weeks is if there's issues and stuff, they need to be addressed. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you just speak to someone, innit? And 9 times out of 10, things can be sorted. So where have we got to now? So we've got the best ray anglers. We've just answered that question. Best shock leader knot for targeting rays, please. Mine keeps snapping. Craig. So Craig, best shock leader knot. Spider Itch or Bimini Twist. Bimini Twist would give you more spring. I'm a big fan of the shock leader, of the Spider Itch. No spring at all in the knot, just strength. I mean, I could probably lift a tank with that leader knot. I had it up on the cleaved up Lady Bay Battery Point the other day, and I had the biggest bit of weed and a fish on, and I mean, you could feel the weed sliding down your line to the lead. And I had the T900 in a position where I physically couldn't put more pressure on it. It was locked up, and I thought, at this stage now, if I I carried on. I just give it all my all trying to lift it, and the rod coped with it completely. The only thing what went in the end was my shock leader knot, but it went on the line. It didn't go on the knot. And I wouldn't fish with anything else. I mean it. I mean, I've had so many good fish on that knot, and I know that I can, if I need to pull, I can pull a fish out with that. I mean, if I've got big fish laid down on the seabed and just sat there trying to hug bottom, and I need to lift it, I know I can lift it. I mean, I can apply so much pressure to that fish, it's going to move. So that would be my answer for that one, mate. Alex has asked me, what's the best bait for rays? Best bait for rays, personally speaking, sand eel. I love sand eel. I love squid, and I love bluey, and I love sardines and stuff like that. I've been using the sardines as well recently, and those sardines I've been really well. I've been tying them all the way up through. The one I had the other day, it was a small eye, was on sardine. And it was the fillet side, like the top side of the sardine, not the bottom side with all the guts in as well. And I just find they make really nice ray baits. I mean, I wouldn't, personally speaking, and over in Wales, I know they put like triple squid baits and mackerel and blueies and stuff like that, and use massive baits for them. Over here, you don't need to. I find just using, if you go like that with your hand, like an L, that size, top to bottom is good enough, and something which is quite slim at the top or goes into a nice bait at the bottom, somewhere you can disguise your hooks and stuff. And that's all you need at the end of the day, mate. So I hope that helps. But you catch them on pretty much any bait. I've had small odds on crab, believe it or not, when I've been targeting hounds. So it's crazy. So we got another one now. This is from Tom. Would you take other local anglers to your marks, or is it just Connor? So I don't know if that's meant in a cocky way or a whatever way that's meant in. But I've had that question sent in to me, and I'm going to answer it. Yes, I've been taking Connor. I think it's upset a few people, and I'll tell you the reasons why. It's probably upset a few people because of where I've been taking him. And at the end of the day, I'll answer this question and I'll be truthful, and that's all I can do. I would literally take Connor anywhere. I would take Connor anywhere, and the reason being, I trust him. At the end of the day, and he's a nice lad. He reminds me of a lot of myself back when I was younger, and he's very keen and wanting to learn. And at the end of the day, if I was lucky enough to be when I was younger and to have the likelihood of some of the other top anglers in the southwest, what they've done for individuals, I would be thanking them. You know what I mean? And I'm probably, I would say, a different breed. There's not a lot. I'm old school. Loyalty is a big thing in my life, and at the end of the day, it's something I live by. I treat people how I expect to be treated back. I'll do anything for anyone when they're friends of mine. You know what I mean? If anybody asks me and I can help them, I would always do that. But when someone poos on me, they don't get no. That's it. You know what I mean? That's the way I've been. And I've been like that probably the last 15 years, 20 years now, and I find that by living my life that way, I don't have to live with the stuff I had when I was growing up, where people backstabbing you and talking behind your back and promising you things and then breaking promises. And at the end of the day, there's no need for it. At the end of the day, friends are friends and loyalty is loyalty. And I find it very rare. And some of the aspects of what I just talked about, I know full well. I've took him to a few places now, and he's had people ask him, and he hasn't said a thing. You know what I mean? And there's a few places I've said to him, take your mate, as long as you don't say nothing, it don't matter. And there's places I've said to him, you can't take no one. Okay? There's marks which I've got along this coastline, what I've had a couple of people take me to. And one guy I met, and I won't say his name, but he lives down the South Hams, and I met him when it was raining one night, and he was bassing. And he said, "Oh, I haven't seen anybody down here." He's an old boy. He said, "I haven't seen anybody down here at all." He said, "How are you, young man?" This is when I was doing my total sea fishing years. And he said, and I started talking to him, and it was like, I was thinking, and I said the magazine sort of stuff. He was like, "You don't take pictures down here?" And I said, "No, I don't." And to be honest, a lovely guy. I've had a couple of pints with him down in the local town where he lives, and on the way on a Sunday, on the way one day, he wasn't very well with stuff. And it's someone I've always kept in contact with. Just a lovely guy. And that guy took me to 4 different marks along this spectrum. He's quite prim and proper, lovely guy, just a lovely guy. And he would walk from his house, and he wouldn't drive down to the car parks enough. He'd walk from his house. I've actually picked him up before and brought him down and took him back, because he just wouldn't do it. He just wouldn't like to leave his car in some of the car parks. So yeah, and the venues that he's took me to, where he used to go bassing, was rough and close, but give way to clean ground. And it was very similar to the mark I was fishing. And you know what? I went back to marks, and I've had fish on all 4 marks. Big £10 plus fish off all 4 marks, small lights. And spotties on some of them and stuff. And it's venues where I know no one's fished. You know what I mean? And I've never took anybody there, because he's asked me not to take anybody there. And I've never took anybody there. I mean anybody. Some of the old boys who I fished with, and I've never took anybody there. If I go there, I go on my own. He's asked me not to, and I wouldn't. And it's venues I know I can get there and fish. And in certain conditions, certain conditions, no one to be there. Okay, and I know full well that those marks may be fished by people maybe doing, I don't know, good bassing or bullicing and stuff like that. But they've got no idea what's out there at range, and I've proved it, because I've been with the young man. I call him a young man. He'd be laughing if he's watching this. And he had a £9 bass one night when we were there, and I had 3 small-eyed ray, and the smallest was £10 too. and the biggest was £11.10, and it was a night I won't forget, and he couldn't believe it, absolutely believe it. He had that one bass, and then I had the rays, and it was absolutely amazing. But it fishes when it's like a sheet of glass, absolutely crazy. And then it will also fish well if it's rough. But that night it was like a sheet of glass, and just did it right, I suppose. It was one of them. But yeah, a little bit of walking involved and stuff. But as I said, I wouldn't take no one to those marks. And the reason I wouldn't take no one to those marks is because I've been asked not to. And if you're lucky enough to have people share information and stuff like that with you, then you deserve the respect not to, because at the end of the day, everybody's got their own marks, guys. And if you want to go fishing and you go and share it with them and you know no one's there, and they go and share it with someone else and someone else and someone else, before you know it, it turns into Blackpool Illuminations, and you can't get onto your mark because of trying to help people out. So by helping someone out, it's basically crippled you. So in a way, it's important to me, and a lot of my fishing, especially some of the stuff I've been taking, like some of the venues I've taken to what I used to fish like 20 years ago and 10 years ago and stuff, is places where he can go and take his mate and have some really good fishing experience, you know what I mean, and gain knowledge and stuff like that, and relive some of the stuff I did 20 years ago with my friends and stuff. And there's marks I've took him to, and I've said, you can't take no one here. And he messaged me last night. He said, I was going down to this mark last night, and I said, you be careful, because at the end of the day, it's not just that. It's, if anything happened to him, everybody's going to look at me because I've shown him it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I can only guide him with what to do and where to go and what's appropriate, like footwear. First thing I said to him before he went, I said, if you're coming with me, you need decent footwear. He went out and got decent footwear, because I won't take him if he's got trainers and stuff like that on, you know what I mean? Because if he falls and slips, that's on me. And the same, he's been looking at doing some of the rock climbing stuff with me, and I said to him, look, if you're going rock climbing, he'll probably be watching this and he'll be agreeing. I said, I'm not taking you rock climbing until we go in to do some climbing together into the climbing school. So I'm going to take him into the climbing school and go through some bits and pieces with him, and like stuff I was shown. And then I'm going to probably do some abseiling with him, but I've told him before we do any abseiling or anything like that, he needs to get an ID. So I'll go run through what an ID is. People don't need to know about that. And for those that know it, it's going to bore most of you. It's just a device what you use to basically abseil down cliffs, and if you go to 4, it locks you into place. And the safety at the end of the day, if I'm taking someone going to do that sort of thing, my main concern is safety, because the last thing I want to be doing is taking them down somewhere. And I have done it before with people. We've took people to marks over the years, and they've not gone down, or they froze, or they've, you know what I mean? Because it is stuff which a lot of people would be scared to do, you know what I mean? And it's not for everybody at the end of the day, guys. But yeah, that's something which I'll obviously probably do a video with Connor to show what he's actually doing to go fish to some of these marks. It's not a case of just I'm taking him fishing, I'm putting him in positions and stuff. He needs to learn and know what he's doing, because it can be it's life-threatening. You know what I mean? If you ever fall at some of those venues, you're dead. It's not stuff to play around with. And if you want to fish those set venues and gain the knowledge and stuff like that, you've got to do it properly and safety. And it goes without saying, really. So there you go. That's that. That's your answer to you there, Tom. No, I wouldn't take anybody. At the end of the day, it's down to trust. And yeah, as I said, I've seen Connor fishing like some of the venues and that he's fishing, and decided to give him a bit of help. That's what I've done. I mean, someone looked up to him the other day and said, "Are you paying Andy?" And then he said, "No, why would I pay Andy? He's a mate of mine." You know what I mean? And I would class him as a friend now, because he's a lovely, lovely lad. You know what I mean? When I seen him, and I was watching. I'll tell you where I started. I was watching TV when I was doing some rigs, and it come up with Long Quarry, and I thought, bloody hell, I haven't been to Long Quarry for years. So I used to go down there racing and that, and doing a bit of eeling and stuff. And then I watched it, and then I didn't realise it was the same boy was messaged me to do with the Specimen Awards. And then after that, I watched another one of it, was local and stuff, and we got talking and stuff. And then he's related to my neighbour, and it's gone from there really. We decided to meet up to do a bit of casting, and you can see when I picked him up the other day, you could see the excitement in his face, and that was me. Every time I was going fishing, I couldn't wait. You know what I mean? And we're sorting something out for this weekend now, and he's on the phone with me already, like buzzing. Game on, you know, maybe it's good. That's what fishing should be about. I mean, it's about having fun, and that if you're not enjoying fishing and having fun with fishing, then it's time to pack up your bags, isn't it, and try something else. But no, yeah, guys, unfortunately, as I said, I'm willing to, like, so I had someone from Torquay message me the other day, can I open my casting? Not a problem, I'll take anybody. Go down the beach and I'll spend an hour with you. I mean, as long as it's not, I haven't got to travel miles and miles and miles to do it, I'm quite happy to go down to the local beach or whatever and give them some tips and stuff like that. I'm not the best caster in the world, but I'm willing to take my time, take minutes out of my day to go and help someone. And as long as they've got away a bit happy in that, I don't expect money in that for it. Yes, I used to do a bit of guiding and stuff, and I used to hate it at the end with having to take money off them. That's why I stopped it, because I just feel by the time you go fishing with someone, then you have a good day and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You become friends. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You've just spent the day together fishing. And and it's a team effort. I always look at it as. And then when I go away, I mean, people pay, and I just always felt bad about it. Not to say there's nothing wrong with it, because there's not. You know what I mean? It's down. I just felt, me personally, and I ended up stopping it. I do building as a living, you know what I mean? That's the way I do it. But I'm always worried to win. But when it comes to marks and stuff, guys, and I'm not being horrible by it, the reason I don't is because, one, people could just go straight down and end up having an accident and kill themselves, and then it's all on me. And two, people don't keep their mouth shut, and before you know it, it turns into Chesil Beach, and I can't get down on the marks and fishing myself. So that's the reason why. But okay, so we got Richard. How do you really think you can land a £30 blom from the shore? We have had them from the boat, and believe me, they give a great account for themselves in the tide. What pound line do you use for targeting them? Okay, so I'm going to answer the pound line, and I'm going to answer the first part of the question first. So Richard, I use £20 line, okay? And funny because I had a conversation yesterday. Because I went to see Rob yesterday. We were sitting down having a cup of coffee, and then we went out to the garden to go through some shrink tube, because he's going to basically do my HST Dimix for me. And when we were out there, I was talking to him. I said, "You've had two fish. What you couldn't stop, didn't you?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Obviously, tell me a little bit about it." And so when I had my 27, I went through the fight and stuff. So it was hugging bottom like that. I got it moving, and once I got it moving, but at the first part it was going and going and going. But as I started to lock up, I couldn't lock it up all the way because obviously the power was going on. But I just kept applying pressure until I slowed it down. And once I slowed it down, I locked up at full and just kept automatic pressure on there, all the pressure, and then basically managed to get it moving and turning and lifting. And as soon as I got it lifting, I kept it going. And he said when he had his 29. He never seen it, and the difference with being, as I said earlier on, he's on a rock what's there and the fish is there, or I'm up here somewhere, and it's a lot easier for me to get the leverage up. And he said I knew it was a good fish, and it was going through, and obviously as it's coming through the water, it's staying deep all the way, and it gets to the bottom of the water, the rock, and suddenly, obviously, Mark's landed it for him, and he's like, "It's a monster!" And he didn't see the fish. He said, "Where is it?" Because he couldn't get it to the surface. It stayed deep all the way. But he was telling me about two other fish he had. One of them went off like a tornado, just went literally straight out in front of him, and just kept on going and going and going and going and going and going and going, and then just dropped the bait. And the second one took him for a ride around a corner, and cut him straight off. And he couldn't stop it. He said there's nothing he could have done with it. He's using £20 line, like tightened it up as much as he can. Obviously that thing, tighten, as it's going like that, because it's running at the same time. What do you do? Let it spoil you or whatever? You've got to try and slow it down and stop it, haven't you? And he said that they were bigger. They were bigger. Where we go, you've got a chance of monsters. Okay, so some of the boys what fished it for many years are a lot more knowledgeable and experienced in catching down the fish there than me. What I've done, if I'm honest, is I studied, and I studied it and studied it and studied it, because I was fishing on certain tides and stuff like that, and I was thinking to myself, this is when the best time to fish it. And I wasn't getting results with it. I was getting some rays and stuff, but not getting no big rays. And I was like, what's going on? So every time a picture would get taken up, put up, people don't wait for pictures, okay? And there were certain individuals what got tugged under the wing and that they put a picture. And as soon as the picture was up, I would record it. And then when I met Rob, I said, you had yours on that, and Mark had his on that, and such had his on that, and he had this on that, and he had this on that. And he goes, how the hell do you know all this? And I told him. And he went, brainy, I like it. and what you could see is no pattern at all. Honestly, no pattern at all. The only thing you could see is a pattern with different marks. And it's something which I put into my vision down there. And at the end of the day, everybody's going to do their own sort of research and come up with their own answers, you know what I mean? Whether it's right or wrong as to what... Everybody's got a total different look on things when it comes to fishing. And a lot of people will find it and think, oh, I think that's works. And other people will say, no, I've had better results when it's like that. And that's just fishing at the end of the day, isn't it? And when it comes to like those big like fish, there's no guarantee you're going to stop them, is there? I mean, if you look into a 30-pound blonde ray and it doesn't want to stop, and you're using 20-pound line, what are you going to do? You've got two choices. The trouble is you can't stop a fish when it's running like that and just lock straight up, because the power of the fish going in the tide and moving, it's going to go. The line's going to go like that straight away. There's no cushioning or like gradual thing. It's total thing. So something's going to give, or you're going to turn the fish. And I have to think with a fish that size, I don't think it's going to be the fish what just turns straight around. I mean, you need to turn it. And if you've got a fish running and not stopping, then what do you do? It's an odd one, isn't it? So I don't know. But yeah, I've heard that as well. I remember being in Seaview Angling and talking to one of the marine biologists in there. And when I had my 27, and he was like, how the hell did you land it? And I told him. And he's like, oh, I've had him on a boat like that size. And we struggled like hell in the tide. And I said, it wasn't easy. A lot of pressure and stuff like that. And when I told him how I landed it, he was like, oh my God, I can't, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's one of them. Personally, I think 25-pound line would be better. I definitely wouldn't want to use one of them. I definitely wouldn't want to use a HSD Dymic, if I'm honest. But what do you do? What do you say? It's one of them at the end of the day. I'm looking for a pair of SUs, guys. Okay, so if anybody's got no pair of SUs they don't use anymore, get hold of me, please, because I am looking to purchase. And I'll do a little video for you and do it however you want. But I was hoping Adam still had his, but he's got rid of them now. And I want to get a pair of SUs in my life, so to do Back to the Future 2. So yeah, hook a brother up if anybody's got some. So yeah, that's the answer to your question then. So we got Mark. Why don't you like the style of hooks for the J style of hooks for ray fishing? I've had loads of them on them. So the J hooks. So the J hooks, as I said before in the video. For me personally, the J hooks is it's not a strong hook, so it's a hook that it can bend out over pressure. I don't care what brand it is; it's the way the hook's made. It's not a very thick gape, okay? So it will bend. And if you get small lines in that, I would have no problem using it at all. But when you're targeting blonde rays, they get very large and they're very powerful. And what I wouldn't want to see is that happen. I've had it happen before, and I know friends that have had it happen to them before. I remember telling you Luke Johns to go and fish a spot by Minehead, and he hooked into a blonde ray. What decided to go and run on him, and he was applying the pressure, and as he was bringing it in, the hook bent out. So it only took a V there like that, and then it bends right out. Fish gone. So that's the reason why I like to use the Chinnoos, and I've had success on the Chinnoos. And why change what? I know if I've got a Chinnoo, I can bully it as much as I want, because once it's hooked in, it's not everything I've got tied to the end of it, £100 and stuff like that. It's not giving in, so I'm in control of that situation. Where if I'm using lighter gear, you know what I mean, it's one of them really. But each their own. A lot of people will use J hooks. I used to use them 10 years ago when I used to land fish, like some really good fish on them. But personally now, obviously what I'm targeting, I wouldn't want to use a J hook for it. And then we've got finally Paul. Do you always fish with a grip lead for targeting rays? So not always, Paul, depending on the venue. Sometimes I'll use a bomb lead, sometimes I'll use a lead and take two of the wires out and cut the grips down, so they're very short, so you get a lot more movement as it goes around, but it will hold a little bit better, but slow the movement down of the grip lead. Sometimes I use all 4 grip leads, but I'll cut them all down short, so you get that little natural pull and stuff like that as well. If depending on the tide running and how hard the tide's running really, and whether I've got pits and sandbars for the leads to sit and hold in. If I can get away with it, I like to fish without a grip lead, just because it makes it more and there's less like that, especially with running up and over rig. I mean, you'll just get natural screaming runs because the hook's right down, and as it's going off like that, it will pick up the lead come forward into its mouth, and it's job done. But if you can get away with it, you can get away with it. If you can't, you can't. But guys, that is all from our questions. I hope I've answered them right. Obviously, I've just finished work. I'm probably not set up to. I just jumped into it and just answered them really. But yeah, I hope some things come out of this, because I don't want people watching the videos and my videos and that thinking, look at that big-headed git because he thinks he's this and he's that. I don't think I'm nothing, as I said, guys. I'm just a regular angler who puts a lot of time into his fishing, which anybody can do. Anybody can do it. You've just got to commit. At the end of the day, you just got to spend. And it's not a case of just, all right, I'm going to do that for 2 weeks. I'm going to become a really good angler. I'm going to catch really good fish and stuff like that. You can. You've got to put time and effort into it, and you've got to go to venues and reap the rewards and take the blank sessions and learn from what you're doing wrong into what you're doing right and stuff like that. And like I said, now I'm doing now what some of these anglers were doing 10 years ago. You know what I mean? In some cases, 20 years ago. And like I said before, part and parcel of doing what I'm doing with Connor is the simple fact that in 20 years' time, say, if I'm lucky enough to still be around, and I'm sitting on riverbanks targeting mullet or flounder or gilthead bream and stuff like that, which I'll probably do when I get older, because I can't do what I'm doing forever, can I? There's anglers still doing what we're doing now, and angling's a dying sport really, and it's nice to see youngsters moving in. And as I said to Connor, what I want you to do is, when you get to my age, I want you to do exactly the same to someone else, because he'll learn throughout all this. He's obviously learning from what I'm showing him and stuff, but he'll learn from what his own. He's not a fit kid. You know what I mean? He's quite a clever lad. I'm saying stuff to him, and he's like looking to improve it and how we can do things better as well. And that's good. That's what makes better anglers, guys, at the end of the day. And I'm sure, obviously, from the knowledge and stuff he'll gain over the years and stuff like that, he'll be able to pass it on to whether he's got kids or whatever, or he's got like friends and things, or maybe it'll be the same sort of thing. You'll see a YouTuber not doing very well, like we're going to get a few subs and stuff like that, and he'll say, "Do you know what, mate? Come on, I'll take you on and show you a little bit," because it's hard. And if any of you are watching this and you've got youngsters and friends, or you think to yourself, "Do you know what? I've been fishing a long time. I've got a lot of experience around where I'm doing it. I'm going to do exactly the same." Put a post out on one of the group pages now. Experienced angler to such and such, willing to take someone out and go, you know what I mean? And it gets meeting new people and stuff like that at the same time. I don't mean go and do that every single day. What should you get in the car with? Funny. But like, guys, hope you enjoyed it. That's the Ray one done. Yeah, lots of rubbish talk once again, but you seem not to enjoy it. At the end of the day, if I've upset anybody by anything I've said, I do apologise. I've just said it as it is, and yeah, unfortunately, it's just the way it goes these days, isn't it? But no, looking forward to doing some fishing, and tight lines to the next one.